All right. I mean, normally I care about what I look like, but I guess I'm not going to care right now. I'm still recovering from COVID, and my face is blotchy because I ended up with cystic bumps. Why am I so? I'm so somatically narcissistic. Anyway, so I just recently was introduced to Richard Grannon, and he is amazing. He's absolutely amazing. And he says, despair. He speaks of how Kierkegaard spoke of despair as despair is not being in alignment with our authentic self and not in alignment with our life mission, our purpose. And we have to know those things. So if I want to become aligned with my authentic self, my true self, my higher self, which is existent archetypally in the Mysterium Conjunctionis, how do I do that? I have to have goals. I have goals, and I have to know my values. And my goals and my values are going to help lead me to my authentic self. What are my values? Um, and Richard Grannon, am I recording? I hope so. Okay. And Richard Grannon, he speaks of, go online. There's a list of hundreds of values. Choose 10 values and then differentiate, or even go down to 5 values. Five main values. Five main values that are true to who you are, that are really important to you. And then look at the things that you're doing in your life. Are they aligning to those values? And if they're not, that's probably why you're despaired, because you're not aligning with your values. Maybe you're despaired because you don't even know what your values are. You're disconnected from your authentic self. And when you're connected to your authentic self, you can create goals for yourself. What do you want to, who do you envision yourself as? Or I don't know. I'm not even that, let's skip that. But so I discovered for me, I looked at my 5 values. I have 5 values. And then I looked at what do I need to sacrifice in order to become aligned with my true self? And I discovered 4 things that I need to sacrifice. Maybe there's more, but right now I only discovered 4 for myself that I think are, and things that I have had a difficult time doing. And I haven't been doing. I don't need to list all my goals and my values. I think so. Health, time, integrity, relationships. Well, healthy relationships, I should say. Healthy and loving. I don't know, and loving relationships. I don't really know what that looks like. That's something that we have to learn over time. And I think the epidemic of our time is that we have lost our ability. We've lost our morals. We've lost our sense of value. We've lost our sense of ability to love another human being, and it has created an epidemic of cluster B personality disorders because we have completely disaligned ourselves with our higher self. We don't even know what our higher self is. We don't even know the concept of that. And so I have been in despair. You're probably in despair. Why are you in despair? You're in despair because you're not in line with your authentic self or your a raison d'etre, your mission in life. So if I'm despaired, I go into a collapse. And that's a great thing because in that collapse, I can find my true authentic self. I enter into the Mysterium Conjunctionis and I heal. And we have to face that. We have to. We have to face the terrors of the what is it? Tremendum et fascinam, I think is what it is. But anyway, so I discovered for myself for myself, what do I need to sacrifice in order to be aligned with my authentic self? And I thought, well, man, this would work for anybody, really. It's almost like it works. This is like, for me, the process of individuating. What do I need to individuate? What do I need to become my individual consciousness? How do I gain internal locus of control and depend on myself? This is all Richard Grennan that helped me to realize this. I really appreciate him. I really appreciate Sam Vaknin's work. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, just amazing. Okay, so what, for me, I have to sacrifice being in a sexual relationship right now. But I also have to I have to sacrifice all relationships that are not healthy. I have to sacrifice unhealthy relationships. I have to be careful about who I am in a relationship with. And I have to look at healthy boundaries, because relationships are this is the beauty about about consciousness. We are individual human beings. We're born existentially alone, but we are not separated from each other, and we need each other even to exist in this reality. And so our job on this earth is to have a relationship with ourselves in order to have a healthy relationship with another. This is the very, very problem that has created the epidemic of cluster B personalities and trauma. We're all traumatized, and this is going to get worse if we do not individuate. Carl Jung was a genius, and Sam Vaknin and Richard Grennan in one of their things was talking about, hey man, our colleges and universities are not teaching this stuff, and we need to. And I'm so glad that Sam Vaknin and Richard Grennan are pioneering analytical psychology and Freudian psychology and object relations psychology in healing. They created models and a recovery program, for cluster B personality disorders. And it's great because they're using analytical psychology. And I've thought about this for years, and it's so wonderful to see people in the field who have the knowledge, who have the wisdom, who have the intellectual ability, spiritual ability to teach these things and help enlighten people, because it is our jobs to individuate. So what do I need to sacrifice? I have to sacrifice being in an intimate relationship. So that means, I have to sacrifice being in unhealthy relationships. For me personally right now, I have to sacrifice being in a sexual relationship. It's not healthy for me. I have to go heal. I got to heal that. So I have to be careful about who I'm in a relationship with. I have to look at boundaries, healthy boundaries. I can't merge with somebody. I can't parasite somebody else or allow somebody to parasite with me. I can't allow vampirism. I have to have healthy boundaries. And that's another problem. We don't have healthy boundaries in our society. It's like, whoa! I mean, if we look at the zeitgeist right now, it's devastating to all of this process. We have to accept the intrinsic quality of being alone. We have to separate from the mother, and we have to individuate. And that means facing a separation terror, a fear of abandonment. It's like we have to face the existential anxiety that is intrinsic to our nature as individual consciousness, is individual consciousnesses in the world. We're not separate from each other, but we have individual consciousness that we are responsible for. And we have to be okay with being alone. We have to be okay with the dread of, oh my God, I'm separate. And when we do that, we take responsibility for our consciousness. This is when we are sacrificing unhealthy relationships, that means we're accepting our intrinsic nature of being alone. We're we're accepting that we have boundaries, that I cannot merge or parasite somebody. I cannot demand that somebody becomes the object, the external locus of control, the thing that is making me feel safe in the world, that is soothing me. I cannot allow someone to parasite me, to be that source of supply, to help them fuel their false sense of self. We have to do this internally. We have to move the external locus of control internally. And I've said this for years, but I've been thinking more deeply about this in my life as of late. What else? Okay, the second thing that I need to sacrifice is immediate gratification. And that means I have to be okay with discomfort. I have to be okay with boredom. I have to face loneliness. I have to face, discomfort, boredom, and loneliness. I have to going back. I have to see. I have to dig into my own internal self, and be okay with the discomforts that for me come with knowing that I'm a separate individual, that I am responsible for self-soothing, for growth, for the things. I can't externalize that. So I have to sacrifice immediate gratification. I am highly addicted to things. I'm highly addicted to, I want immediate gratification right now. And this is being bred in our culture right now. This is like what's creating the cluster B personality disorders. So I have to have self-determination. I have to have some level of self-control. I have to go into a level of emotional maturation in order to delay my gratification. Okay? So this is something I've always said that because my idea is like our society is guising individualism, materialism as individuation. So we're moving the internal locus of control to we're moving from healthy internal locus of control to external locus control. We're moving from immediate gratification to delayed gratification. In our culture, we don't do that. So in our culture, we are external locus of control, where instant gratification, and this is being okay. Matter of fact, it's even being aggrandized. And it's creating an epidemic of cluster B personality disorders. Because these are the two things that are keeping us from individuating. We need to be internally locus in control. We have to delay our gratification. These things are taught in relationship early on in our relationships. Okay, so number one, we said we have to sacrifice certain unhealthy relationships. We have to sacrifice immediate gratification. We have to accept reality. So when we are delaying gratification, that means we're accepting reality. We're accepting control and self-determination. Okay, the third thing is I have to sacrifice all unhealthy environments. I have to be careful about what is coming into and from my consciousness. I have to be responsible for my consciousness. I have to be responsible for my consciousness. I have to be responsible about how my consciousness impacts the world and the others around me. So I have to be responsible for what I put into my consciousness. Very Buddhist. What am I putting? What health am I putting? Unhealthy things into my consciousness? Am I putting healthy things into my consciousness? Because what we're exposing to ourselves to absolutely will influence who we are. influences. So the things that we're interacting with, we know if it's aligning with our authentic nature because it feels right, it feels healthy. And if it's not aligning to our what is healthy in our authentic internal self, it will feel not good. And then if we're in this cycle of it's not feeling good, but I keep putting into it because I want the instant gratification, it's completely just creates an addiction cycle, you know. So I have to. What do I need to do to sacrifice? What do I need to sacrifice in order to become to align with my authentic self? I have to evaluate. I have to sacrifice unhealthy environments. You know, like YouTube. I had like, oh, I just want to watch YouTube all day. Well, that's not going to be. You know, it's just like you can't be laying in your bed watching YouTube all day. I have to. What things are going to help me to become a healthy individual, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? What are the things? Because what we're putting into our consciousness is going to be what we're outputting. So it's very important. We have to take responsibility for our environments. Okay, number 4, what do I have to sacrifice in order to reach my authentic self? I have to sacrifice a false sense of safety. I have to be courageous. I have to accept change. So I have to I have to face the unknown of reality. I have to be in the flow. I can't live in the past, and I can't try to control the outcomes of the future. I mean, that's a little complicated there because I think then we're going into the philosophical domain of what is fate and what is free will. But I don't want to go all that. That's another conversation. But nonetheless we have to accept that there are some things that are out of control. So when I am sacrificing a false sense of safety, what I'm doing is I'm actually ultimately figuring out what are things that I have control over and what are the things that I do not have control over. The things that I do have control over are the things that I need to focus on in order to have some level of self-determination. The things I don't have control over and that I'm trying to force control, in relationships, I'm very unhealthy. I want to control the person, because if I can control the person, I can control the outcome. I will not be abandoned. And I will have that external locus of things coming at me because I don't. Anyway, it's all of this is intertwined with the individuation process and in itself. So I have to face the unknowns of reality. I have to be in the flow. I have to have the courage to. I have to have courage and I have to have courage in the face of reality. I mean, Carl Jung talked about this. There's a really great quote from Carl Jung. I won't pull it up right now, but we have to have it's an act of courage in the face of life. It's self-determination. So I have to know what I have control over and what I don't, and I have to accept that I don't have control over some things and that it feels very unsafe. And I'm not going to do things that even though it gives me a false sense of self, I'm going to accept that there are things that I cannot control. It goes back to that, Lord, grant me the strength to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I have to be in the present moment. I have to be in the present moment. I have to let go of the past. I have to let go of shame. I have to let go of guilt. I have to let go of mistakes. I have to be in the present. I have to accept who I am now. I have to accept who I am. I have to accept the good and the bad. I have to stop the splitting. I have to integrate and come integral, intact. is the etymology of integrity. It means to be intact. I have to become intact. I have to become integral. I have to be aligned with my values, that I have to align myself to my authentic self through my goals and values and who I am in the world. I have to take a responsibility for my individual consciousness. I have to love myself as an individual consciousness. I cannot seek love or soothing or a sense of safety outside of myself. It's completely, utterly self-determined. And it's a terrifying process. It's a process of individuation where we separate from the mother, the great image of the hierarchical mother, and we become our higher self, which it contains all archetypes. Anyway, that's Carl Jung theory, and we don't need to go into that right now. So we have identified, for me, I have identified 4 things that I need to sacrifice in order to find my authentic self, which I think would probably work for anybody. We have to sacrifice certain relationships. We have to try to have healthy relationships, to have boundaries. We have to sacrifice immediate gratification. We have to learn to delay gratification in order to become self-determined. We have to be aware and conscientious of what we are introducing into our consciousness. We have to be responsible for the input and output of what is our consciousness. I have to sacrifice a false sense of safety, and I have to accept the present moment as it is, and have to move into the flow. There are certain things that I do not have control over, and the things that I am trying to control over that I don't, it's a false sense of safety when you try to control things that you don't have control over. You think you have a control over the future outcome because you have an idea of where you want to go. We don't know where we're going. This is a becoming. We are beings of becoming, and that's the beautiful adventure that is life. But it is also terrifying. We have to go into the unknowns of our own psyche, the terrors, the mysterium coniunctionis, the tremendum at fascinam. Anyway, so when I sacrifice those 4 things in order to become integral in myself and find my authentic self, I can align myself with who I am, my goals, and my values. And for me, my personal 5 values are health, my time, integrity, healthy relationships, and learning and growing. And if the things that I have to sacrifice certain things, I have to be conscientious every day, every moment. I have to sacrifice those 4 things in my environment, in my life, in order to align myself to these values. And if I'm not, I will not feel integral. I will not feel whole. I will not feel good. I will be despaired. I will be anxious. But I have to accept that I am going to be those things, because that is the dichotomy of the human existence. I'm not going to feel secure all the time. I'm not going to feel happy all the time. I'm not going to feel beautiful all the time. I'm not going to feel healthy. I have to accept life on life's terms. This is where addiction comes from too. It comes from hiding away from the pain and trauma that is life. Life is traumatic, and I have to accept that. So anyway, this is my, I don't know what it is, but I had to let it out. I had to get it out, and I did. And wow. I'm going through a massively intense growth thing right now, and this came to me, and I knew I had to put it down. I don't know if I'm going to post this or share this or what I'm going to do with this. I just knew I had to put it down, but I do think that it is incredibly valuable for other people to know these things, to look at themselves. What are the things that you have to sacrifice? Thank you, Richard Grannon. What are the things do you have to sacrifice in order to align with your authentic self? Well, in order to do that, you have to know your values. You have to know your values. You have to determine your goals for yourself that align with your values. So being in relationship to our authentic self is a process, an ongoing process, and it's going to change. And it's going to abide to enantiodromic laws. What comes up must come down. I've noticed that even through my life, I have at times feel that I'm very aligned with my authentic self. Then situations, if I haven't been aware, situations, I have given into delayed gratification. I have not not been conscientious about my environment or the people I'm sharing my consciousness with. And I have sacrificed my authentic self for a sense of false safety. And when I have done those things, I have not had the healthy boundaries in my own self. I have not held myself in full wholeness or integrity, and it has kept me from individuating. So I don't know. I don't even know what this is. What I just. But anyway, I. All right. Okay. That's it.